The Quad countries of the US, Japan, Australia and India announced plans to cooperate in strengthening the resilience of undersea cable networks as part of boosting cyber and maritime security in the region. The US has also pledged to assist in training over 1,000 telecom officials and senior executives. So, Professor Song, what do you think this program is in reaction to?
I think the competition for the undersea cable markets are on the rise between China and the United States. I call this Sino-American cyber warfare. And recently, China's Huawei marine submission cable business changed name to Huahai Communications. According to Wall Street Report, Huahai Communications had installed undersea cables with a total length of 94,000 kilometers. So 134 undersea cable project items were completed in Africa, Middle East, South Asia, and Southeast Asia by Huahai Communication. So it's likely for China to compete against the United States and its allies, such as Australia, for a larger share in the global undersea cable markets. And there are other considerations, espionage, spying events, try to be stopped from the US, Australia, and they have that kind of program to do this.
Ray, what sort of security risk does the US worry about in terms of China being such a big part of this market?
Sure. I mean, we've seen the U.S. responding recently to perceived threats to its infrastructure. And in the digital age, infrastructure, of course, involves all kinds of things, including, say, 5G, where they've banned Huawei from a lot of things. They've looked at where are there Chinese-developed components to existing networks, particularly government networks. And so undersea cables are a logical extension of all that. And when you look at the potential for not just current covert gray zone operations that could be pursued through cyber means, but God forbid, a future conflict, then the idea that you have an adversary who can easily or quickly reach into essentially your homeland and begin to turn things on and off or otherwise disrupt the kinds of things that make the country work, that's actually a pretty frightening thing. The U.S. has always thought of itself as being protected by two large oceans, but in the cyber age, not necessarily. And so if a potential adversary has a way to quickly reach in and cause that kind of damage, it's something that has to be addressed.
And the sorts of things that we're talking about, as well as switching on and off, as you said, stealing data, eavesdropping, are these also genuine concerns?
Absolutely, especially, I mean, of course, it could be right this minute, right? So right this minute, there could be bad actors, from a U.S. perspective, inside of U.S. networks. We've seen many times already where there have been significant data breaches, intrusions, other kinds of things that have already been documented, large amounts of data already taken. So yes, this is very much in the minds of U.S. policymakers.
And Professor Song, I mean, just thinking about it from the Chinese side, could they say, well, the U.S. could do the same for us? Or to us?
Certainly, because action counter action, and according to your national interests, according to the accusation from the other country, you can do the same thing. Actually, I believe all of the countries are doing something to protect their national interests regarding data, regarding cable, undersea cable. They have planning to protect themselves. On the other hand, try to sabotage, try to cut other countries' undersea cables in terms of security consideration.
Ray, I mean, we started with the survey ships, so taking a look at a bigger area, not just within the EZ and close to Palawan Island. China has been known, or it appears that there is data where many Chinese survey ships have been seen, even in the Pacific Islands around Palau, for example, and the fear there is that, they are mapping the seabed.
Right.
Can you provide us a broader picture of what you've been tracking perhaps recently?
Sure. I mean, so they've had a lot of survey ships mapping the floor of the Indian Ocean, all the way to near the coast of Africa, as you said, in the Pacific Islands, out into Micronesia, Melanesia,
And what do we think that's to do with?
I mean, I think that undersea cables are certainly one of their considerations, as are submarines. So they are, and of course, the traditional use of these things in many cases has been, searching for energy and those kinds of things. But, I think undersea cables represent a massive vulnerability for almost every. They're extremely long, and all it takes is one break, right? So all you have to do is find the one place that's not protected, and so it is a major concern, I think, not just for the United States, but for China and for other major powers and for minor powers, because we're talking about a lot of these Pacific islands. The only way that they can have regular internet connection or a regular, data connection is undersea. There just isn't enough space capability right now to make up for it all.